Oh, yeah. Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. Right here on Black Liberation Media. In case you didn't know, I go by the name of the Ear Doctor here to bring you that boom bap breakfast right here on this 9th day of October. So, yo, let's get it in right here, right now. Tell a friend it's on again. Let me introduce you to my friends, starting off with no other than Jackie Luke. And as you know, Kim is not ready.
Why you got to do that?
I be forgetting.
No, you don't. You just
How you come on time and still be late?
You know,
I don't understand.
She has multiple fur babies, and you know how they are sometimes in the morning, especially when they're a little bit. Because I've noticed this with Kimathi. He's not an early morning dog. He's 9 years old. He's like, I'll pee when I get up, and I'm not getting up right now. So
Kim ain't got no fur babies no more.
But I thought it was just Bagheera that passed away.
Oh, she had more than one dog? Anyway, so Morris Brown homecoming this weekend. DJ tomorrow night. Let's go. NBC. Y'all can see it. Bam. Let's go. You got your African American shirt on, I see.
No, I don't have an African American shirt on it, and I do have to correct myself. I was wrong. Yeah, both of her fur. Yeah, that I forgot. The other did pass just recently. Damn, I forgot. I'm sorry about that. See, that's how messed up I am. How much I forget. This short-term memory is. Your kidney ain't helping at all.
How about age? This short-term memory is terrible over here.
Yeah, pretty much. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. But okay, back to this T-shirt.
Yeah, let's see what we got. Let's see what we working with.
Where do you see American? Where?
Oh.
Show me.
Show. You right. Oh yeah. There we go. There we go. Do that one more time.
No, I only did it. You're only getting it once.
This is the PG show, everybody.
Them ain't American, baby. Them ain't American. Them weren't made in these American streets. These was made by Palestinian brown Jesus.
Okay. So
socialist Jesus, the ampleness for the. Let me stop. My father comes on here and be like, "What the hell?"
I know. Boy, I know women can't wait to get home and take that bra off. Boy. I was just thinking, what do I rush home to take off? I say my pants.
Well,
you all right over there? I started too early, my bad.
It did, and I walked right into it. I don't know what's wrong with me these past couple of days. My guard is down. I'm sorry. I've been sick. My immune system is messed up. My guard is down. Apologies, but no, I'm African. I'm not African American. And you know, bras can be very comfortable if you have the right bra. A lot of times, a lot of ladies, a lot of us don't actually get properly fitted. So most of us are not wearing the correct size bra, correct type of bra for ourselves. So I encourage you, dear sisters and femmes, please go get a proper bra fitting. Nordstrom does them for free. You can go to Macy's. What's that other Saks Fifth Avenue, I think. Victoria's Secret does them for free.
They ain't got no black women that make bras yet.
That make bras. I don't. Other than what's her name, Rihanna with her
Fenty
collection.
Fenty. Yeah, I got some Fenty. I got some Fenty drawers. You know who else might have some? Come out here, Franklin.
Do you have Rihanna Fenty underwear? Because they make them for men.
I have them.
I didn't ask you to show us. I didn't ask you to show us.
I was just checking to see. You know, everything I wear is name brand.
Oh Lord.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I got
talk
the
that
Kitty
talk.
Stan underwear. You know what I'm saying? I got
Johns.
Sean John. I still got some old Sean Johns from
I do
1984.
got some
Every now and
draws.
then I got to whip them out. You know what I'm saying? The elastic didn't hold up, but you know. But I got some of those. You know, I got the Beyonce bra for the male uplift. So
okay.
you know what I'm saying? So it gives me a little lift in the morning. Kind of thing. You know, all that. I live in celebrity culture. I know all about them.
Yes, we know. I do like I do like how Rihanna's collection has a collection for plus size men, and all of the models are plus size men.
Oh, look at you! You looking cozy talking
it's
about
a lovely page to go visit and see the men's.
And the guys' draws is only $6.
You know, huh?
The guys' draws are what?
Only $6.
Yeah.
Yeah, good price.
For one pair of drawers? I can get like 12 pair.
No, you can't. No, you can't. Not good quality. See, you still want them tighty whities, man. No, those are cheaper. You got it, but
no. Here in the DC, in the DMV area, I'm not sure if this place is still open, but I do need to go since I've had my body is completely different and I have to replace all of my clothes. There used to be a lingerie shop called, I think, Cherry Blossom Bras or something like that at Woodmore Shopping Center, right on 495 across from Richie Marlborough Road. And it's a Black-owned lingerie shop, and they also do fittings, and they're really, really fantastic in helping you find the correct brassiere for your ladies. They're very lovely. They're very lovely people.
Okay.
Yeah, but I encourage ladies, go get a bra fitting, please, and find out what your correct bra size is and the correct type of bra you should be wearing. You'll thank me. Yes, and yes, you're gonna have to spend a little bit of money because the right bra is never cheap. It's never cheap. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ask a stupid question. So, what the right bra does? What this offers support? Is it also for a little
comfortability?
Does not for that.
Now it depends. Now if you all of those things, but if you are like me, and especially before when there was
on the opposite side of the little titty bitty committee, then
I can laugh about it because they have been an inside family joke all my life. My life. My whole family, the women in my family are not, I'm not built like any of the women in my on my mother's side of the family. I'm built like my father's mother. And that there's a long running joke that my grandma started when I started to develop, and it was like, "Ooh, she done brought that woman up into this house. Oh my God!"
You know what you are? You are built like.
Hey.
Together, everybody knows.
That is one of my theme songs, but yeah, if you are a heavier chested woman, you really do need to be wearing the right bra, because if you're not wearing the right size and band, you're going to cause yourself back problems, because carrying those things around, they're heavy. But if you are not very large, have a very large bust, you still need the right bra, because now you're looking at comfort and maintaining the shape of your breasts, right? Because a lot of people, if that's important to you, it's not to a lot of women, and that's okay too, because they don't do what they're gonna do. Nature takes course. Hit 50 and see what happens. Nothing is firm and perky anymore. But it's the right bra size, regardless of what size you are up here, is good for your back health, and it's good for your proper breathing too, because when you get the right support up here, you sit up better, and that elongates your rib cage take some of the stress off your lungs. So
Okay. And for guys, I suggest you wear boxers, not tighty joints, and sleep with naked. It's the best. I mean, truthfully, to let your body breathe, I would say that's the best for
well,
guys.
why leave it at sleeping naked? Why not? Why go? Be committed to it. Be committed to your vessel breathing. Wait until the
Are you
full
saying
moon.
now he should disrobe and be completely
No,
naked?
No, I'm telling you, you wait until the full moon or the waxing moon. That works too. You disrobe, you go outside in the woods near your cauldron with your friends, and you dance. What?
That sounds like some witch or alien shit. We need to bring in Kim Brown.
Yeah, go on. Jackie. I'm with the full moon ritual. Go on, go on.
I'm just saying, if you really want your body to breathe, you can, make it a group activity and make it a mutual, and then give it purpose.
My thing is, get into bed. You need to be clean. You shouldn't have no outside clothes on when you get in your bed. You should be able to let your whole body breathe. Your body is a big organism with pores and everything, so it should have its time to breathe without having any clothing or cloth on.
I have been chastised for that, for sitting on the bed with like outside.
That's why you're supposed to make your bed up so that you sit on the bed and not in your bed. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I don't put that much into it. I don't.
Y'all beds look terrible right now, all of y'all.
Just blankets everywhere. Every day. It just so happens that I got out of bed, and like I said, Kimathi Abdushahid Lukman is sitting in there. You're sitting on the bed. Like, you go ahead. I'll catch up later.
I don't know about that dog sleeping on the bed.
Come on, like
you're not one of those who lets the dog on the bed. I can see,
Well, I'm sure Kimathi is clean. Duh.
Oh, it don't go outside.
Is the dog ever clean?
No, it's never clean.
Clean? Come
yes,
on.
when we get out the shower and get in the bed, like I just said.
You shower before bed?
What's in the water?
If I don't shower before I get in bed, I just don't wear no clothes.
Oh, I'm a morning shower. I don't shower like usually. I'm just like whatever. Yeah.
The dog sleeps on the blanket. This is the dog's house. Y'all ain't in the bed, and you won't be, so don't worry about it.
Damn.
Anybody who's not in my bed, don't worry about.
That's right, y'all. Don't y'all worry about it.
With me.
Exactly. Don't y'all worry about that.
No, there's a whole cultural discussion around dogs in the house at Black people, and then to the extent of which dogs are allowed in the house, the dogs allowed in the kitchen, the dogs allowed in the room. Like, my people come from the country. I mean, they keep their dogs out in a cage. Because they're hunting dogs. They keep them niggas in a cage deep in the woods. Them dogs have never been in the house. Never, ever been in the house. But my dog obviously is my children. And people be like, you let your dog in the room in the bed? Yeah, she's clean.
Yeah.
I bathe her. I watch her myself. Yes.
Yeah, you can't see none of them ticks. But
also ticks. Yes,
but don't you don't bathe. They could go outside. They sniff around. They
antibacterial wipe.
Sniffing around the grass. Then they come inside. You don't bathe them.
We sweat.
Is grass dirty?
We sweat.
Oh yeah.
Grass is dirt.
Grass is right on top of dirt. What do you mean? Is grass dirty?
Dirty per se.
The Brooklyn to me says grass is dirt. You know,
I know, maybe because you didn't see grass growing up, Kamal. Grass was in pictures. It was in.
Other than that tree and that patch of grass around the courtyard. That was surrounded by a chain link fence. But
that's true.
Speaking of New York and dirty dogs, do you think 4 years is enough?
For Sean?
The diddler.
I don't know.
I mean, I think he should have got. I mean, you're not supposed to mix in other things that somebody did with the case that they were on trial for. And so there's some things about what he was doing that seemed to be some of it seemed to be consensual. Like, you know what I mean? They seemed to be these parties. People went to. People got paid. Blah blah blah. So I'm not as huge as on that. The thing that really disturbed me that I think he needs to go to prison for like 15 years is that beating video of that sister in the elevator, which in the hallway, which was not the first time that something like that happened. So the brutality of what he did and stomping on her, and the fact that he's never been charged or will never be charged or face any retribution, really, any real retribution for something along those lines. So, it's like those kind of things to me seem to be the things that somebody should at least be punished for, and have to do something to make retribution. And I guess he did pay some money, but that's the thing that strikes me about it all. It's like, because otherwise, if for those parties, there's a whole bunch of people who should also be prosecuted with Diddy for those parties, and not just the staff. I'm talking about attendees who had to understand that there was stuff going on. So, to me, it's that's one of the issues for me. It's like this dude just beat somebody in an elevator. I mean, and like, camera footage, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No, there's no sideways stuff that you can try to say or blame, drug, whatever it is. He literally like attacked this woman. So I think that stuff, to me, somehow that's not prosecuted. That's not something that we want to make sure that people understand that they not should be doing. That to me is something, yeah.
I'm willing to put money down that Trump is going to pardon Sean Combs.
He said he wasn't, though, because he was saying that don't vote for him when Obama was running and all that stuff.
That nigga's a liar, right? All he has to do is make a contribution to the Trump presidential library. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I mean, Trump is a money talks kind of individual, and Sean absolutely has money. And also the kinds of things that Diddy was convicted of, these are not things that Trump finds offensive, right? Like, Trump don't give a, he already done said it. He doesn't even think domestic violence should be counted as a crime, right? So
word.
Yeah, like, so these are not things that Trump doesn't value women, especially Black women and non-white women, right? So I think Diddy may get a pardon. My guess is within the next year.
I mean,
and then them niggas, and then all your little favorite influencers, your culture's top thought leaders, everybody's want to talk to Diddy. We got exclusive Diddy interview. Come see Diddy speak. Diddy's doing a
gospel album
show. Yep, gospel album. Exactly.
You know he is.
Yeah,
definitely.
He gonna call Kanye and be like, "Yo, I like what you was doing."
No, he's not gonna call Kanye.
That's Soul Sundays. That's Soul Sundays.
No, that's gonna get another 4 years.
Yeah, not Kanye. He's going to Kirk Franklin.
And Kirk Franklin is going to visit him in prison and pray with him and declare that, the brother is sincerely sorry and he has made a mistake and we have all fallen short of the glory of God. And please download his new worship song.
Yeah, don't forget to do that. He's streaming.
And what's the guy? The Potter Church guy? What's his name?
Oh, TD Jakes.
That's who's going to embrace him. Somebody like that. Give him all the credit, because it doesn't seem like he lost all his money through this trial. He obviously put out a hefty amount, and he's not going to have a lot of income, like streams of income from selling product. But it seems like he's still got a good stash away. So he's probably going to do what I think, based on the time that he's done, 2.5, 3 years. Was realistically how much time he'll do. So he'll be like 59, 60. He's gonna pop back out on you.
Yeah, and I heard he's trying to go to Fort Dix where he'll get a lighter sentence doing some type of program. So yeah, he's not doing 4.
I don't think he's gonna lose. I actually think he's gonna make money while he's in prison. Because look at how people responded when what's his face went to prison. What's his the other one? The other creeper.
Russell.
No.
Dre. Dr. Dre.
No. Oh my.
Dre.
Wow.
Just name every famous. Just name every.
I believe I can fly one. I don't know why I can't.
R. Kelly.
Yes, R. Kelly.
Oh
Do you see how people? Come on now. People are not people. People who love Diddy are not gonna stop loving Diddy and giving that man their money. It's no.
Listen, people need to be honest with themselves. Our culture, in particular, since we're talking to Black people here, like, we're not offended by men in particular who hurt women. Like, it really doesn't bother us as a culture. We say it does, we act like it does, but look at our responses, our reaction. Even people who admit to being abusers of women who may not have ever been criminally charged with anything. I'm thinking of Joe Budden, right? Everybody listen to Joe Budden podcast. Don't nobody give a fuck that Joe Budden said that he was low-key stealthing women, right? So no one's bothered by it. So that's just really the sadness as a Black woman. I'm like, wow, if y'all knew that somebody hurt me, y'all would still deal with them. You'd still do business with them. You'd still socialize with them. You still shoot the shit with them. You still interact with them on social media. Nobody gives a fuck who hurts Black women.
Mm-hmm. And do we not live this practically every fucking day in just about every iteration? It doesn't always have to be, as awful as sexual assault. It can just be, treating Black women like shit, and people don't care. People do not give a fuck. They can see people do that shit, and they're like, "Damn, that was fucked up." Anyway,
what time the game come on?
Not hold nobody accountable for nothing. So these people are not. Diddy is gonna be a hero to these folks for however long he's in prison, and they're gonna hold a parade for him when he gets out. And they're not going to do anything different as far as he's concerned. They don't. No. I don't see him losing any popularity or esteem among his fan base. Let me say that, among his fan base. But I think they're the only people who matter to him.
Well, let's get into some news that matter. So let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back and talk about something other than the diddler. All right, right here on the Remix Morning Show, we got a bunch of things. We got Chicago fighting back ICE. It's a whole lot of things going on. So let's get into it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. I'm locked up. Oh, let me out. Is it time for a remix on the remix? I believe so.
There'll be no darkness tonight. Baby, your love will shine. Just put your trust in my heart and me in paradise. Now is the time. Girl, you're every wonder in this world to me. A treasure time won't steal away. So listen to my heart, lay your body close to mine. Let me fill you with my dream. I can make you feel alright. And baby, through the years, gonna love you more each day. So I promise you tonight that you will always be the lady in my life.
Ooh, man, let me take you back to an album. We talk about 1982 with Thriller. Michael Jackson, that is. The name of that song is The Lady in My Life. Mixed with a little bit of 2018. We talk about Block Boy JB. A little bit of Drizzy on there. Name of that album is Simi. Name of that song is Look Alive. So look alive, y'all. Show your love, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com, and what can you do? You can go right here to this QR code and donate. We are demonetized as a channel, so that would very much be appreciated. And also, tell a friend is on again. With that said, let's spin it back to the crew right here on the Remix Morning Show. You know how we do. Yeah.
More than great, I will love you more each day, 'cause you will always be the lady in my life.
Listen, people don't give Michael enough credit for his ballads, son. My man's was ballads. He was pop hits, he was dance hits. But when you look at Michael's ballads, he or slower songs, you know what I'm saying? Even songs like what's the song that he did? The What About Us? It has the gospel joint. What about us?
The Earth song?
Yes, something like that. Yup. And then he had a song when he was with the Jacksons called Push Me Away. Oh, it's so beautiful. You remember that now at your homecoming?
You know who else was a talent? Lionel Richie, and we'll be doing that at 11 o'clock. Classical breakdown.
Really? No, I'm
Come
just
out,
kidding.
Uncle.
Oh, we talking Commodores. We talking Commodores.
Okay,
'Cause-
that
His early career,
Lionel
his
Richie.
early career
Okay.
for a while was
Uh,
good.
Hey
Okay,
Kim,
you
I
were
didn't have a
Solo,
lot of
he had
work
some
to
good
do.
hits.
Kim, I
I'm
didn't
just-
have a lot of work to do.
We just got to be clear about which Lionel Richie we talking about.
Me and Kim split it down the middle. He was like, "You do Commodores, I'll do Lionel." I ain't have much work to do.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Commodores, Lionel. Yes,
Oh,
talented.
damn.
After
His
after
first
album
couple of
two,
albums, I
after
thought were
album
good.
2 or 3,
What?
he was too much experimenting, trying to work with newer
When
producers.
he went
and
with "Say You, Say Me," everything was garbage after that.
It
Everything
was.
was garbage.
when I seen
He just did a tried and true formula over and over and over again till it started going like this, and it was like, please stop with this, stop with these
Well,
songs.
because he was king of the adult contemporary, not urban adult contemporary. White folks adult contemporary, right? Them soft rock, soft jams on 97.1.
I hate them so much.
Light
Dancing
FM.
on the Ceiling I hate that song
Yeah,
so much.
Which one? Which
Oh
one?
yeah, that
Dancing
dance
on
was
the
the
Ceiling.
worst.
Oh
It
my
is
God.
Oh my
bad.
God! And you
People lost their mind over that.
Yeah, for
and
real.
Ballerina Girl, that's trash.
Yeah.
Complete
The worst.
trash.
Just
Ballerina Girl. Oh my God!
All right, still come out at 11, y'all. We
All
right.
Commodores.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to send us.
I'm not
Oh,
mad
I
at
ain't
you
lying.
being in the
Trash.
top.
Please
Listen,
tune in at 11.
when I seen producers Rodney Jergens and Wyclef Jean, I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I will say that Commodore's catalog, it's not
Yeah.
bad. It's very
Not
not bad.
Not at all.
And I was, thinking of when we did Jeffrey Osborne and LTD, and I'm like, God damn, the Commodore's waxing LTD, son. I mean, putting LTD to straight shame out here. The Commodores was up there as a band. And then on their albums, they have, instrumental tracks, nobody singing. And I that reinforces, band first ethos. You know what I'm saying? We a band, you know what I'm saying? We got this light skinned niggas singing, but we a band, you know what I'm saying?
We're musicians.
And I think after he left, they made the best R.I.P. song ever made. It's for real. I haven't heard a better R.I.P. song since Biggie.
I was about to say Gangsta Lean. See, y'all hate on Gangsta Lean though.
Gangsta Lean is the joke. Gangsta Lean is because when you realize what they're talking about, it's like, oh shit.
I sang that shit for Bagheera. You know what I'm saying? This is for my homies.
Yeah, big up to Night Shift. It was dope.
Oh,
that was it.
Yeah.
Like Night Shift, come out. Jacket.
Yeah, no, I know. The Commodore should have broke up when Lionel left. That's all I'm saying.
After that song.
Damn.
Anyway,
friend of
That's on
mine.
the other side of the aisle is that there really was no Commodores after Lionel left. Lionel, I mean, he took the writing ability, the voice, everything,
Oh,
I think that's also true. I think that's true. I think that's also true. It's just that Lionel didn't continue with that Commodore's level or kind of music. He went straight pop.
The Commodores kept him black. And he lost his mind with the
Mhm.
possibility of going pop after he left the Commodores.
Mhm.
You listen again between Ballerina Girl and Sail On, right? When you hear the differences between those kind of songs, you're like, you can see where my man went. Like he left the Commodores because it was keeping him black.
Yeah, he wanted more of that black money. He wanted that
He
white
didn't want
money.
that black money. He didn't want that black wife. He didn't want that black. He was like, I can bust. He's like, I know I can bust through. Somebody has told me that my writing abilities and all that kind of shit, I can bust through. That's what he did.
And you know what? Before all this Cowboy Carter stuff, he had some country songs, like real live cowboy rodeo songs he was singing. I was like,
on down the road and
I was like,
half a mile or so.
They're good. They're good.
Yeah.
And the joint he wrote for Kenny Rogers was good.
People
So
that is a great song, but it absolutely has those country vibes. And
you know what I think also about like Endless Love. Endless Love was a great song, but it also was a great pop song. And that shit, remember that shit was, y'all won't remember, some of y'all. That was like the #1 song for like 10 weeks. Him and Diana Ross, Endless Love.
Oh yeah.
And then some of y'all might remember when Luther and Mariah did it, right? Yes, but then some of y'all won't remember when Luther and Mariah did Endless Love. Yes, that song put you right to sleep. You feeling insomnia? Put on Endless Love, put your ass right to sleep.
But your boy did country, reggae, pop, ballad, everything. Like he touched all night long.
Yeah, come on now, though.
Come on, that was like a pop reggae. Stop. You know it was. They play that all the time.
A little reggae influence, but not really. Not really.
Not even reggae influence. That little steel drum in the chorus of that song, that's not even a full reggae influence. That's a tiny sound that sounds a little bit like, Caribbean. That's it.
All right.
There's no like real reggae.
Hold on, we're going to party, Karamu, Fiesta, forever. That's not right.
Reggae. Come on, that's a little salsa too. Anyway, I'm out of here.
Now you're getting ridiculous.
That's the spiceless version for reggae.
Lionel doesn't give. He doesn't give Tuskegee, Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing about him to me that says, "Oh, he's clearly from Tuskegee, Alabama." Lionel Richie. He told me he was
like
from
Tuskegee. Where? I don't know nothing about that. No, I look. I agree with Kamau. I think the Commodore should have hung it up after that first album. After they were like, you know what, this is a bad idea. Let's just go on home and let him. That's good. But that man. I justice for his first wife,
Brenda.
Yeah, man,
not justice for. Wow. Brenda is the one who was laying paws on Lionel. Justice for Brenda. What are we talking about?
I'm just saying. I just you don't do your bottom like that when she been with you since before you were nothing, and all of a sudden you get the white people money, and he's like, you don't. Oh no. Oh yeah. Okay.
I feel like that's
how
a lot
famous.
of
Everybody knows of all the wives who were not famous of some pop star. Almost every black person of a certain age, if you say Lionel Richie's first wife, everybody go Brenda.
Oh, Brenda, yeah.
Everybody go, yeah, Brenda. The one that beat his ass. Yeah, Brenda. You all know
right.
Brenda.
That's right. I don't want people looking upon her actions as any kind of wrong. What she did,
Jacqueline, hold on.
Right and holy.
We do not advocate for domestic violence on the I don't know what the man was doing. I think he got beat when she caught him with that white woman.
That's a
domestic violence is not the answer.
Wasn't it in her house?
Half. Eddie told us half.
What's the matter here, doctor? What happened?
He was sick of us. He was ready for us to start our shift. That's fine, boss. We ready. All right. We ready now, boss. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's the Remix Morning Show, Thursday edition on the 9th day of October. Damn, today is 10-9, not 9-9. I don't know why I thought it was 9-9 because, I can't count, but it's fine. I'm counting now. 10-9, October 9th. Thank you all so much for joining us. We got Jacqueline Lukman, Kamau K. Franklin, Kim Brown, the Ear Doctor, the infamous Remix Chat, undefeated in these YouTube screededs. I can't think of another rhyme. I'm not knocker. But anyway.
No, that was good enough. That was good enough.
Leave it. Yeah. Leave it right there.
Who got some stories? I got a couple of things, but I don't know where y'all want to
where should we begin? Niggas blowing up judges' houses. Brandon Johnson told the ICE that niggas don't need to let you into their establishments if they don't want. I mean, there's a lot. Where would y'all even like to begin?
I got a little bit pulled up for Brandon. And then I also want to do Jackie's favorite white man. I think it was
Matt Blumenthal.
How'd you know that? Yeah. So he was on a podcast, and I wanted to play a clip of that because it's the philosophical.
See what I mean?
debate
What did I
that
say
I wanted
earlier?
to have.
What did
Yeah.
I say earlier about what people do to what people do to black women and folks don't give a shit? What I say? What I say?
About why I want to bring him up? I'm bringing him up
No,
so
no,
we can
no.
have a
He wasn't
debate
talking about
about him, not to lift him up to be like he's a great white man. I want to debate what he said.
You know I'm just messing with you. Go ahead.
I am not here for
Can I also say I am fascinated by the Mark Sanchez story? Fascinated.
I haven't heard a lot about it.
Ooh, let's
football player. All right, let's start with Brandon.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I actually want to give my man some compliments.
Come
I
on.
feel like for a middle class black mayor or like someone who has some politics, I think he is handling some of this ICE stuff almost as well as can be expected. So I'll play this from a news conference he did declaring ICE-free zones, some ICE-free zones, and he's done a couple of conferences calling Trump out for authoritarianism. So
today we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids. And today we are signing an executive order.
So that's one, he did that, and he's had, again, some videos. I'll play this one real quick because it's right below.
As far as what we are hearing, the National Guard, first of all, it's illegal, unconstitutional, it's dangerous, it's wrong. This is not about deportation. This is not about safety for this president. This is about authoritarianism. It's about stoking fear. It's about breaking the Constitution that would give him that much more control over our American cities. As far as what we are hearing, the National Guard.
Out of all these black mayors, he's the only one kind of talking a little tough. And to your point, Kamau, I mean, there's not much he can do to stop National Guard. I mean, I guess it's in the courts, etc. But the fact that he's trying to do something, right? Muriel Bowser didn't do a fucking thing.
Not a damn thing.
Grab her ankles. That's all she did. But at least Brandon Johnson is doing something and calling out stuff. Anyway, I like it for given the limitations of the power of his office and what he can't stop and etc. I appreciate he's doing something as opposed to fucking nothing.
I agree.
Good. I'm sorry, Jackie.
No. I agreed. And this is what I've kind of always been saying about this whole Trump administration. Y'all make it hard. At least put up, okay, I know you can't actually stop him from doing this kind of stuff, because this actually raises for a DC resident that this is a conversation we need to be having about the utility of statehood and home rule. If a city in a state that has its own constitution, and if statehood is not protecting Chicago, if statehood is not protecting Illinois from the whims of this administration, then what does that mean for those of us in Washington, D.C., where we are not a state and we are trying to hold on to what little bit of home rule we have, and we are framing statehood as the answer to this kind of federal government overreach, if it really is an overreach, because it's actually not really an overreach. This is how it's always been, really. What is the utility of statehood if statehood cannot protect or stop the federal? Do you understand? And then it just gets us into this weird conversation about states' rights, because that's where this leads. And this is why this is a really hard kind of thing to kind of talk about, at least for me, because on the one hand, it's like I'm glad, good, you're calling a thing, you're trying to take as much power out of their ability to do whatever they're doing as you are able to, but ultimately you can't stop them people either.
Yeah, I think, and one of the things that seems important, I was going to say really quickly, one of the things that seemed important for me too in Brandon Johnson's stance is that again, there may be degrees of this, but the local police have not been working hand in hand with ICE. And in fact, a lot of ways they've been given orders to not work with ICE. And that's a huge thing, right? As we saw, like you said, particularly in LA and probably to a degree in DC, it was the local police working hand in hand with ICE, the FBI. In fact, a lot of times the local police taking the lead when they started going into Black communities and doing these roughing people up and all that kind of stuff. So the fact that at least what it seems like that kind of close connection and working relationship is being thwarted and is not there does mean a lot in terms of what ICE potentially can and cannot do in terms of their, they will stretch their orders. In fact, I have another video about the commander of ICE talking about the ways in which they will detain you and how they're moving so-called probable cause or reasonable suspicion to basically be saying the quiet part out loud. So I'll play that in a second. But I do like, again, the fighting spirit, making statements and making non-cooperation agreements which help people on the street so that they don't, because I've seen some of these videos again in Chicago, and I'm sure we've seen them in some other places, where people at this stage physically challenging, right? It's not reached the level that we may want it to be, but people are physically challenging and trying to stop some of these ICE arrests from taking place. So for now, it seems like it's an example. Here in Atlanta, I could never see Andre Dickens, the mayor of Atlanta, doing anything close to this. I could see him rolling over from day one.
Right.
But the fact that Brandon Johnson, who does have a little bit of a labor history to him, has some politics to him. So I think that stuff matters, and I think some of that is kicking in, and we'll see how far it goes. But yeah, I want to give a little bit of props to a mainstream politician for standing up to Trump. Yeah.
And to be clear, ICE agents have murdered someone in Chicago under very dubious circumstances. They have also shot another woman. Fortunately, she survived, but she's being charged criminally. They allege that she and a convoy of other folks were ramming ICE vehicles, and we searched her car and she had a gun. Okay, well, she had a legally purchased concealed carry license. Like, I hate when folks doing righteous things are arrested with guns, and it's like, oh my God, they had a gun. It's America. Everybody should have a fucking gun. Okay, finding a gun on anybody should not be a shock. But regardless, also outside of Chicago in Broadview, chat, correct me if I have that right or wrong, there's an interesting kind of standoff between ICE, Homeland Security, and some of these Black elected officials. So we have Brandon Johnson, the mayor, obviously talking tough, but the chief of police in Broadview, Illinois, is actually pursuing a criminal investigation against ICE for a number of reasons. But one of the incidents includes an ICE agent shooting a pepper ball into the window of a car of a CBS Chicago journalist. And she filed a criminal complaint. And this police chief seems to be interested in pursuing an investigation. But also, ICE have been using 911 to summon Broadview police to call police on protesters and journalists. The chief of police seems to take umbrage with that. Think that could also be a criminal complaint. So it's interesting to see, in particular, Black faces really taking a stand of sorts against the actions of what ICE and Homeland Security are doing. And I don't know, like if and by the way, ICE has gassed, they have tear gassed and pepperballed Chicago police, Broadview police. And it's like, what line are these cops going to choose if the feds start tear gassing them? Whose side are you on?
I mean, and I've had to say, and I see your videos up, Kamal. I've had to say, and I have to keep reminding myself that these people are not ICE agents. They are deputized white supremacist militia members. That's what they are. They are the slave patrols. They are the lynch mobs. They're not. I don't like giving them the legitimacy of calling them actual ICE agents. No, they are Billy Bob and Chad and them from the former Proud Boys, from Patriot Front, from Oath Keepers, from the 13th or whatever they call themselves, them yahoos in the woods that's been itching for a race war. That's who these people are. And a few of their Black and brown compatriots who think they're a part of the gang, but they don't realize they're gonna get off as soon as they get a chance to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been deputized basically, right? No, like again, all the lowered standards, because basically this is now the frontal force, other than the National Guard or bringing in the military. The FBI isn't big enough, but they can build ICE up to be the frontal force for basically their street cops on every city in this country. And I think that is partly what's happening. Also, I completely agree with your analysis that that's who they are now. That's where they go. They'll say, where do you want to go? If you're a right wing cracker who hates black people, who hates immigrants, and you get a gun and a badge and tear gas and pepper spray, and you get to do what you want to do, and you don't have to worry about shit, you go join ICE. That's what you do.
Are
And so
ICE agents getting paid during the shutdown? Anybody know?
Yes, they are.
Yes, yeah,
What?
Yes, they are. Yes. Yeah. Come now. Did you think that man was going to give these people this much power and send them to do all this and not pay them what he promised? What is it? The $13,000 signing bonus, the 6-figure salary, the forgiveness of student loans. Yeah, they're getting that money. ICE funding is exempt from the budget.
And I don't know for how long. I mean, because there is some indication that at some point either the National Guard or the military will stop getting paid. I'm not sure what the timeline is. If a single standing bill is not passed, I don't know how long either ICE or other federal agents are exempt. They might be exempt during the whole shutdown. So we should look into that. So really quickly, I wanted to play. I guess this is Greg Bavano, who admits the ways in which his agents can detain people, which again, this is not new as in beat cops or street cops. When people talk about what is reasonable suspicion or what are the reasons the police can use to stop you, the court has long held that there can be a cumulative amount of things, small things that they claim that can add up to suspicion that allows the cops to stop you. But here, this guy makes completely plain, basically that these reasons don't really matter because they're going to write it down afterwards, right? And basically saying we can stop you for any reason whatsoever.
You look panicked when you see a Border Patrol agent. Perhaps you look scared. Perhaps your demeanor changes. Perhaps you're gripping the steering wheel so tightly that I can see the whites of your knuckles. There's a myriad of factors that we would look at to develop articulable facts for reasonable suspicion. You look.
Hex these motherfuckers, please.
Yeah. And again, there's been Supreme Court cases, and it doesn't start with ICE, right? Around in Black neighborhoods, if you cross the street, if you move your hand, if you dart your eyes away, these are all been made up as reasons that give the cops justifiable suspicion or reasonable suspicion, not supposedly to arrest you, but to stop you and inquire and ask you more questions, and then possibly to even pat you down, claiming that they feel endangered by you because of all these things that are happening. But he's, again, just saying the quiet part out loud, that almost for any reason. You imagine that somebody's claiming that you're holding your steering wheel too hard. I noticed that you're gripping it too hard. Aha, you're a criminal and or an illegal alien. I get to stop you and start asking you questions.
Yep. And this, I like the fact that I actually like the fact that they're just telling us exactly what they've always been doing, because this is not new. This has been all of these, police stops. Well, you got a broken taillight. Oh, you didn't fully stop at the stop sign, or not giving any. That's always the way it's been. That every time. That's the whole point behind stop and frisk. People who look suspicious based on what that he just told you. and he goes on, I think later on in either that interview or another interview, Kamal, doesn't he go on and literally say, if we also stop people who, let's say they don't look like you or me, and he was talking to a white reporter, and he's trying not to say someone who is Black or brown. he spends a whole lot of time dancing around saying that we stop people who are not white.
Mm-hmm. Remember, the Supreme Court just came out with a ruling. The Supreme Court, which is basically trying to act like everything in America should be so-called race neutral. In other words, no racial so-called preferences, nothing in which race is supposed to predetermine things. However, when it comes to stopping people for ICE agents, the Supreme Court has ruled already that race is a factor that can be used. So your mere appearance can be used. So you can get affirmative action when they want to arrest you, right? That's the affirmative action we got. When they want to stop you and arrest you, they can use race without one iota of issue in terms of it being something that can be considered illegal at this stage. So that's where we're at, where the courts have even allowed overtly again as part of their jurisprudence to say that you can stop someone based on their racial look. And then you're right. What is the racial look they're looking for? Anybody other than white. Mm-hmm. If you're not white, then that means somehow you are suspicious of not being a so-called American and not having a so-called legal right to be in this country.
Chicagoans, out of curiosity, any Chicagoans in the chat, do you see or have you heard any reports of ICE and Homeland Security in Ukrainian Village or some of the whiter areas of Chicago? I'm sure ICE agents are stopping and frisking people who are white in Ukraine Village because they might be illegal. I mean, somebody
and they might be worse, because that whole Nazi problem in Ukraine. I'm just saying, since we're profiling people, based on reasonable suspicion of terroristic or criminal activity, I don't know, it might be worth.
Or just being in the country illegally. Well, every white that comes here is legal. No.
No, the only time you see an ICE agent is they're having lunch. With their
they found a place to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, place to go to the bathroom. Well, they need a Nazi symbol like patched back on or something like that. Somebody's they got the stuff for it or whatever. So,
but shout out to Chicago. I appreciate the resistance. I love the caravans following ICE convoys. I love it. I love it all. And Chicago is with the shits. And I love to see it. So keep it up. Thank you.
What else you got come out? Cause
I can do the Max thing real quick.
Okay.
So
let's get it over with.
Let's get
What's man's on now? Is he still talking about Israel shot Charlie Kirk, which is possible?
That is possible. Yeah, no. So Max, so he was on an interview with Brianna Joy Gray. And I think something that also has been making the rounds has been this conversation that Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Wow, did you call the man Tallahassee?
I call him Tallahassee. Tallahassee. What is his name? Say his name again.
Tallahassee Coates.
Nigga, all y'all wrong. It's Ta-Nehisi.
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Lord have mercy.
Exactly.
I'm on the ear.
Tallahassee Coates.
Again, it was so distraught. She came over to say, "You know the man Tallahassee, whatever his name is, Coates, the Coates,
Tallahassee, Florida."
That's what came in my mind. And Ezra Klein were having a discussion / debate. And so apparently within certain political circles, and I did watch the discussion debate, whatever, on the New York Times. So discussions around whether or not, whether or not they're two sides of the same coin anyway, right? But something that struck me or strikes me is even the debate on what is the so-called left or progressive end of what we should be discussing and what we should not be discussing, or how we should be basically what they're saying is winning over the so-called Americans, basically the whites, and what we should not be discussing. And so there's a small remark he made that I'm going to dig a little deeper into.
And so I saw two neoliberals with Ezra Klein offering a more like Clintonite, let's sister soldier the left vision, and Ta-Nehisi Coates not pushing a class-based vision or an anti-war vision, but pushing what he always has, which is a warmed-over Afro-pessimist vision, which is that this country cannot fundamentally change because it's rooted in racism and settler colonialism. Therefore, we shouldn't even try, and all we should do is push a kind of racial politics when neither of them have any critique of Obama. In fact, Ta-Nehisi Coates is...
So that was, for me, striking, because I think this is what gets us in trouble in terms of unity, particularly with the white, so-called white progressive or left, who still continues to think that we're going to win over the Trump supporters by not talking about race. And again, I think this is the Bernie Sanders stance, right? Don't talk about race. Only talk about economic factors, because the idea is that that affects the whole working class and that will bring people together. And I am strongly of the mindset that that this fake idea that somehow I'm supposed to work with folks who have expressed racism to their core, and not talk about race, or not talk about racism, or not talk about white supremacy, is completely ridiculous. And again, makes me have to, I'm supposed to basically push down the issues that are of major concern to me in order to get along with these Trumpers and so forth. And obviously some of this is around whether or not you take them, you support certain issues that you think will get the bigger tent effect to get people on. And they talked about whether or not you, whether issues like abortion, whether you have a pro-abortion candidate or a Democrat, even if that long-term will have some, thinking of that will long-term have some benefit later on. This is the Coates Klein debate. Long-term, it'll be better for women, even if a few pro-abortion Democrats win, because if you have the anti-abortion ones in, then they can't win, kind of thing. So this continual idea that you can't talk about race, or you're supposed to not talk about racism or the history of subjugation of Black people, and how that is just as much as a factor, in my opinion, than economics, right? This is not purely an issue of the capitalists or convincing the white working class to be racist because we all have this brotherhood together. The American right has been, as at the core of their culture, has expressed a certain amount of racism, which whether or not or whatever the economics are of the country, they've still exhibited, right? Every statistic, or every statistic shows that when policies were thought to benefit white folks or white women, including like welfare and so forth, whites were for it. As soon as they thought those policies would benefit Black people, they turned against it. So these ideas that somehow we were not going to speak about race in order to build this big tent with Trump supporters is fucking ridiculous to me, and continually needs to be called out.
Is that what Matt Blumenthal is advocating?
Yes.
He
Yes.
wants the left
Yes.
to reach out to MAGA and build some class solidarity.
He wants us not to talk about Black issues. He only wants to talk about class. And this is not new. This is a repeat of 2016. This is a repeat of the same arguments we were having with these folks on the left, these white folks on the so-called left, who emerged in this online Bernie Sanders ecosystem. And this was the argument that they were making back then. And folks like myself and Anoa Changa and other folks who are active, who were active in progressive politics at the time because of the whole Bernie Sanders thing. And we're trying to contextualize these potential policies and what they would mean for working class and poor people, but specifically poor Black women, poor Black men, Black queer, Black trans, Black folks. And this is where the conversation, at least online, around, listen, yes, we do need socialist policies. Yep, as close as we can get. But we cannot ignore the way that racism, sexism, xenophobia, transphobia, are also used, Islamophobia are used against certain sectors of the working class for particular and unique oppression. And white folks like Max Blumenthal, like Caitlin Johnstone, that everybody loves, like a whole bunch of, like, what were their names? Debbie Lou Zignan. Now I can't remember that child's name again. They all came out and told all the black leftists, shut the fuck up. Don't y'all mess up Bernie Sanders getting elected with all your racial talk. And these people began to talk to members of the alt-right who started to say things like, well, yeah, we want universal health care too. Then these folks, these white folks on the left said, oh, we have more in common with the alt-right who support Sanders' policies than we do with you black leftists who only want to talk about race. And then Charlottesville happened. Because up to that point, when they went on the little tiki torch march, if for those of you who remember, it was Anoa Changa who said, listen, this is some dangerous stuff. This is a Klan march. This is crystal knocked. This is insane. What are we doing? And then white commentators on the left, y'all are exaggerating. As always, you're making a big deal about nothing. Why one particular commentator who everybody loves to this day got on Twitter and responded to Anoa Changa and told her, you are hysterical. These are just a bunch of clowns with tiki torches. Wrote a whole Medium article calling her and the black left out, talked about those black folks who interrupted Sanders' early rallies to tell him you have got to talk about race, dragged them. And then Charlottesville happened. And not one of those people apologized to any of us. And it just kept going and got worse. They attacked me, they attacked Anoa, they attacked other folks throughout that whole period of time between 2016 and 2020. And all of the white left commentators online, the Jimmy Dores, the Steve Grumbines, the even Tim Black. Yeah, I'm naming names now because I'm tired of this shit. Even some of these folks sided with those white leftists who said that we had more in common with the alt-right who wants Medicare for all than we do with these black leftists who keep bringing up race. Mm-hmm. So this argument is still around because people didn't give a shit about what these folks did to us back then.
And really quickly, I had to, when you looked at, I think it was Rittenhouse, and then the white guy that killed the black homeless person on the subways. You had some of these same white leftists who claim to be white leftists, even people, again, at one point I really respected, like a Glenn Greenwald, coming out, and others, Jimmy Dore and others, calling out, justifying those murders, claiming that they were protecting people or protecting themselves. And in a way, doing it in such a way, again, that was giving dog whistles to the Trump supporters of like we're not suggesting to you by any means, right, that we think all leftists are correct, or that you can't use violence, or there's not criminality within the black community. This was a way of dog whistling to these folks, like we have some common cause, like you say, that is bigger than what we have with these black folks who'd like to keep bringing up race all the time, when race is not always the central issue or whatever like that. And so that was the part of I mean, it's a longer conversation. There are good parts of what some of the things that were said, but that is the part of the conversation that struck me, that they continually try to tell us to not bring up issues of race because it may hurt white people's feelings, basically, or it may cause white folks to run away and go the other way. So those are the kind of things that again, like the so-called progressive left, who are, in their estimation, thinking of ways in which they're going to be able to win elections to take back the country. What it amounts to a lot of times is they want black folks to shut up, do what they say, as they go out and lead a struggle to get us to work with MAGA people, right? And I'm not mad at saying that you're going to try to win over or challenge the white MAGAs or get them to think differently. But if you don't have a conversation about race with them, then you're not doing anything different. You're just, again, acting as if it doesn't matter, or that those racial connotations are not a big part of what America is, because all you want to do at that particular stage is get some other whites in control, as opposed to the whites who are already there, right? And that's just not good enough, right? That's just not good enough.
Doesn't Matt Blumenthal recognize the caucasity of he, as a cisgender white man, telling Black people, let's be a little bit more quieter about the race stuff and the racist stuff? Like, he doesn't understand, he doesn't recognize his own caucasity in that instance, or the rest of them. Maybe they recognize and they don't give a shit, which is quite possible. But it seems to me as though white leftists and white progressives in particular take moral offense. I'm not a racist. I advocate for this. I advocate for that. How could I be racist? I'm pro-Palestine. Okay, but are you carrying yourself with all the privileges and finger wagging and moral superiority of how white people in America carry themselves? Yes, you are. You are behaving exactly like a cracker, I guess, with better politics on certain issues. But when it comes to the issue of race, the underpinning issue of this country for its entire existence, you want to punt. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to get into it with who? The racist whites. And again, the reasons why they don't want to get into discussing race and racism with the MAGA whites is because they know that it is an immediate non-starter. But at the same time, we understand that there's no base building, there's no coalition building with us if you want to build with Klans people. How does that work? You want to build and extend a coalition with people who want to see Black people in servitude and or dead and or not our immigrant and migrant family members gone away. Like, how can we take you, white leftists, seriously on anything?
That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. Like, okay, I am a leftist because of my politics and the Black radical organizing peace tradition of my ancestors. These people are not why I am left. And they can't tell me who I should and should not work with. And they can't tell me what I should and should not say. They are not trying to build. And here's what I think we need to understand about these white online commentators who call themselves left. They have no real politics. They're opportunists. They are making money off of being left adjacent commentators. And they're making more money off of making some of those talking points appealing to the right, because we don't make a whole lot of money. We don't have a whole lot of reach. People don't want to hear a whole lot of left politics because of the anti-communist indoctrination in this country, but they get a lot of play among the right by saying this kind of thing. So that's how they grow their audience and make more money. This isn't about Max Blumenthal's or Tim Black's or Jimmy Dore's or Caitlin Johnstone's politics. This is about how they make money. Period. I am convinced that these people don't have any kind of political nothing, not for real. What they're chasing is money. And they are doing and saying the things that they know will get more views, likes, clicks, and subscribers. And what gets that today, like it did in 2016, saying that Black people need to stop talking about race.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but Jackie, I listened to Candace Owens. I was listening to Candace. You ever hear these white leftists like start telling you what the fuck Candace Owens said? I'm like, really? Is this part of your media diet? Well, my ally, you watch Candace Owens? I'm sorry, what? Well, Candace said, what?
Yeah. I think I've kind of learned. I've had to reason myself back from the ledge and be like, just stop paying attention to the motherfuckers. Just stop paying attention to them because they're gonna drive you nuts.
Kamau, have you ever tuned into Candace Owens to see what
No.
Candace Owens said?
I've only seen Candace Owens accidentally when she pops up on my feed because somebody else has shared something that she says, which for them is some breaking of. It's so interesting. Like, the 2 quick points is it's interesting how there is this segment that, of course, and they should be against obviously the genocide, and they're looking at trying to break the right through some of the work of trying to expose Israel for the genocide, but also in some ways playing to the issue of again the white Christian nationalists versus the Jews, and how that racism or that fight over religious dominance plays out or whatever like that. So they're trying to create these fissures within that segment, and I'm not mad at it or whatever, but the fact that they can understand and respect Palestinian self-determination, but look at us as a people who don't have a right to self-determination, who are not suffering from, who have not suffered from genocidal attacks from the same white Americans, not just the billionaire class, who are supporting Israel right now, and the fact that that can't be discussed. And we always call out Black sellouts in our community, understanding that it is a race and class issue, that there are Black folks on the other side of the aisle. We're not predetermined that every Black person is for us or for our community. We understand the class issues. I just want to work with white folks, when I do work with them, who also understand the race issues, who won't sit around and tell me that the better part of my strategy should be to shut the fuck up around race so that they can get these white folks on the same page. These white folks ain't gonna be on the same page, because when shit hits the fan and they see and some coalition develops, those white folks are looking for their own self-interest, and will literally leave you in a hot second, as has, again, which is part of the history of this country, which cannot be ignored. And to suggest, as he did in his clip, that to talk about the history of this country, or to bring it up as if America somehow is not pre-programmed to be a white supremacist nation, to just throw all that shit to the side, like, oh, like America has no chance. Have you looked at the history of America? How can you say so? I'm supposed to? It's some fantasy like we're living in now, that if you just talk about economics and don't bring up race, somehow that's going to put us all on the same side. Even things that they try to hold up, like the Shades Rebellion, was this class around enslaved Africans and the whites who were peasant farmers banding together. When you read that history is infused with the racism of the peasant class fighting against the enslaved Africans, and not really seeing themselves as a fomenting, unified force fighting for some sort of economic freedom against the planter class, right? You see that when you read that history, and that goes into the labor struggles, that goes into all the different histories that we have. And so unless they're willing to really deal with the issue of race, they're not really dealing with anything that has to do with why we're in this condition whatsoever, because it is both class and race, as that's been said in the chat. And you cannot deal with one without the other when talking about what America is.
Absolutely. And for folks, I don't know why, but if y'all have missed all the times that we have sat on here and talked about all these Black women misleaders, we were just talking about Muriel fucking Bowser, and you got people in this chat talking about y'all only called out Black male trend. Man,
I thought, aren't we the reason Kamala's not the president? Isn't it our fault? Didn't we fuck it up for Kamala over here by ourselves?
See, we got to deal with the Max Blumenthals and their bullshit, which honestly, we only have to deal with them online because they're not in the streets doing any kind of work. Ain't nobody working with Max Blumenthal. He's not working with anybody. He's doing exactly what you see him doing. Right? He's not in anybody's organization. He ain't in the streets. No, we don't have to work with these people because they're not doing any work. But we do have to deal with their propaganda that becomes very popular in the online space, and it does bleed out into the people we encounter on the street. So we got to deal with them, and then we got to deal with folks inside this whatever this is with these crazy comments. When we don't say a word exactly the way that they want it to be said, when they hear us talk about something during a small period of time, and they complain that we haven't said this, that, and the third, but they missed half the doggone show and missed what we already said about it. But they have all these pronouncements that they make in the chat about what we're not doing and what we're not saying. Y'all can calm down.
Yeah. And let me be clear about I'm not a Black Afro pessimist, right? So I don't believe that everybody has to, well, I don't believe that every group has to have all of the racism beaten out of them before I work with them, or I have to deal with the innate racism before I work with them, or everybody's overtly and or innately and or culturally anti-Black, right? I'm not really down that path. And so, because when people bring up, oh, we can't work with the Palestinians because there's some racism in history of the Palestinian people, blah, blah, blah. For me, that's like garbage. And most of the people who I work with, right, who are Palestinian, have a clear racial and class analysis, right? And are working to make sure that other folks in their community have racial and class analysis, right? So working with people who are working to try to make sure that the ways in which race and ethnicity are infused to other people to try to work against that. I work with those folks. I'm not asking nobody's community to be perfect, but I'm also just saying I'm not working with nobody who tells me, oh, we can't bring up that race issue with our people because this and this is like, oh, good luck. I'm not, good luck, because that shit don't mean nothing to me, right? So at the very least, I need people to understand, or we need people to understand, is that every community, people don't even like to say every community has been involved with ethno racism and different politics. Obviously, we have what do they call themselves again? The
FBA,
the FBAs, and all the rest of those folks that we have to deal with, right? So that stuff almost, I don't want to say goes without saying, because you got to say it. All communities have that. But if you ignore it, or if you don't confront it, or you're not going to deal with it because you think it's better for your strategic interest to try to win these folks over to some particular stance. And so therefore, if a few Black folks get killed, then what's the big deal? Let's not talk about it, right? If a few more Blacks go to prison, let's not talk about it. If a few more Blacks are left in economic anxiety, let's not talk about it. Because we don't want to deal with the insidious ways in which race interwoven into politics and economics. Then that's not a strategy at all for me.
It's American exceptionalism, but make it lefty, make it from the progressive side. Matt Blumenthal obviously has an unending white optimism in America's ability to get right, or to regain its moral footing, or to align itself to its true, ethical North Star, and it's just completely overlooking that it never had it. America's never been a moral superior place. It's never had the virtuous high ground, and it never will. But these people have this unfounded belief that America can get better. We just have to try hard enough. I'm sorry Black people get killed by the police, but if you guys wouldn't mind, can you guys take that over there? Because we're trying to reach out.
Issue.
We're trying to reach out across the aisle here. You know what I mean? We have a country to save, and Black people should be looking at America like, save? What are we saving exactly? And again, like it's just real telling for white people from the left, to look at what is happening to Black and brown people ongoing, and now accelerated, and now more aggressively being pursued by federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, and to say, well, this country has a chance to get better. And it's like, based on what, sir?
Yeah. And it's always, when we have these discussions about these particular people online, which is why I kind of hate having these discussions about these people online, you always have their fans who will say, you point out what they just said that was deeply problematic and very destructive to our struggle for liberation, and dismissive of our struggle for liberation. And then you always got, well, I never heard them say that. I didn't hear them say that. I never heard that person say. Just told you. and it just becomes this self-perpetuating evidence of the kind of environment we are in this country, as far as organizing against the oppression that we live under. But it also kind of reminds me, I think, that look, I need to be very careful with who I work with and who I deal with. And all skin folk and kinfolk and outsider or ally isn't an automatic designation just based on how you look and who you say you are. Right? This is not these people have propped themselves up as leftists, and their politics or the things that they have said fly in the face of everything that our revolutionary ancestors have said about what we need to do, how we need to organize, what we need to move toward for the liberation of all working class and poor people, but particularly the people on the bottom, Africans and marginalized people, for people who are marginalized separately and differently from just class oppression. I mean, this is the left. This is the left in the U.S. and we're what you're seeing is why the left in the U.S. is the mess that it is.
Radical left lunatics.
Yeah.
Speaking of somebody who's not a lunatic. Damn.
Thank you for that.
I tried.
Hey, you know what I like about this show? Y'all are kicking it. Y'all bringing it. The fact that we can always jump out of here like Jimmy Fly Snooker into the chat room. Anybody ever saying anything? We just jump right out of here. And that's a whole different thing, because like back on radio, we didn't have this back and forth. We couldn't see what the people were saying, but now
pick up the phone.
It's different.
Yeah,
it's funny,
it's no different from having a call in, with people calling in the show telling.
But you can't see in real time them finger thugging. Is that what you called it?
Thumb thugging.
Thumb thugging. Yeah, thumb thugging.
I didn't like when you were able to put the chat like on a little screen inside so everybody could see it at the same time. I guess
you like that?
I thought it was cute. Nope, nobody else did.
Then let's not. It's
I don't know. What does the audience think? Chat, what do y'all think? Y'all want to see the presentation with the live chat on the side of the screen? Yes or no?
I don't want those words over my face.
Oh, damn, no. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
this
everybody
face right here. Come on.
Everybody in the chat can already see what's in the chat.
Yeah, they be all right. All right. So
look, everybody in the chat's like, no.
Oh, we good. All right, cool. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a very quick break and come right back with some more right here on the Remix Morning.
Remix.
Oh damn, I got it wrong. There we go.
Hey.
Oh yeah, Morris Brown homecoming this week. Let's go. Big up to Outkast for doing that song right there. That is Morris Brown. Hey, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Like I said before, go ahead and pull out your phones and hit that QR code right there. That'll take you straight to our page where you could go ahead and donate. We are demonetized as a channel, and this definitely will help us continue to go and grow. All right, boom. Let me get that off the screen real quick. Since we are talking Morris Brown homecoming, I thought I'd go ahead and do a spotlight on no other than the good Reverend Morris Brown. That's right. Let me tell you about Reverend Morris Brown. He's one of the founders of the AME Church. He also founded the Emmanuel AME Church in South Carolina. He was implicated in the slave uprising planned by Denmark Vesey, also of his church. And after that, he was suppressed. He was actually in prison for a whole year, and they never convicted him of a crime. They just was like, let's get him out of here. He was real big about getting his other preachers to be educated, because he realized that church was the one place where we could have our privacy and can actually learn. And since schools was so segregated and a lot of us wasn't able to go to school, he's like, yo, let's make sure we get education here in the church. So with that said, he was around for a long time. He moved to Philly. He went here, there, everywhere, and winded up in Philly working with Reverend Richard Allen. And after that, he passed, and yeah, he passed. He passed, but at the time he had 300 churches, 17,000 members, and he had 6 conferences. I mean, he did a whole lot, especially when we talk about Morris Brown here in Atlanta, established it in 1881 by the North Georgia Conference of African Methodist Episcopal Church. And he's also named the bishop. So big up to him, and big up to realizing that, education needs to be done by us, for us, by us. And that is the only Black college here in the AUC where we talk about Spelman, Clark, and Morehouse that's founded by Blacks for Blacks. Reverend Morris Brown, y'all.
Well, the won't let it go. Just don't know.
ABC graduated in '99. Let's talk about it.
I like it. You know what? I love that he was implicated in a slave rebellion with Denmark Vesey. That's what you're supposed to do,
right?
With all that faith, you're supposed to free the people. That's literally what it says in the book. We are supposed to break the yoke of oppression.
Yeah, Doctor, I would love to see you dress up as Morris Brown for Halloween one year.
I like that. Get the little hair going.
He's got the hairline for it. He's got the hairline for it.
Because like he could be your great grandfather. You and Morris Brown favor.
I like that. I can see that. I can see you
curly,
as
the chops. What's them shits called? The lamb chops. Lamb chops.
I can see you as Frederick Douglass. I mean, you got the hairline already for it. Anyway, so.
Oh, it wasn't as funny. It didn't land the same way. Next time. Try harder. Next time.
Damn.
Oh no.
I don't look like Frederick Douglass. You look like Morris Brown. Okay.
A little bit. With the glasses off. Yeah. Give you a little broad coat, a little vest, waistcoat
with the ruffles and shit. Get you a little ruffled neck shirt. You know what I'm saying, with the lamb chops. That's you.
Mm-hmm.
What was that sister that was a big organizer and got beat up in jail and back in the day?
Try to narrow that down.
What's her?
You talking about Fannie Lou Hamer?
Fannie Lou, she like a light skinned Fannie Lou Hamer.
What?
Yeah, I get at the.
I think I'm gonna have to take you off the screen.
Take him off.
Because that I don't know.
And I feel like Fannie Lou Hamer would be offended. She'd be like, "No,
I am offended for her." What the?
Me as Fannie Lou Hamer is Zoe Saldana as Nina Simone. Like what?
Wow. Yeah.
What? Do you come back in here and answer for yourself for that bullshit, sir?
I have a good comeback. I usually do, but
Fannie Lou Hamer. Yes.
You know how foul that was. Goodness.
Yeah. All right. Y'all doing great. We got 362 people live here, and like I said, go ahead and go cop you some merch and donate. You got the QR code easily. I can even put it up on the screen.
Put it up on the screen. Show off.
I can put it up on the screen like that.
On there.
Boom. There it is. Take you right to the donation page.
Very
all right. All right, I'm done.
So y'all, I have no stories, but I don't have any clips. I don't have nothing to send, but I have ideas. Would you like to hear my ideas?
Please.
Go for
All
it.
right. So I'm interested in the story of the judge's house being blowed up in South Carolina. Even though I don't think, at least my last check, I don't think anyone has been arrested, but my whitey sense is tingling. Okay. Okay. Who else would have blown up the judge's house but the whites? Also, the Mark Sanchez story, I think, is fascinating because Sanchez attacked an elder person and was widely believed in MAGA circles to have been the victim of a crime when it turns out he was the aggressor, the attacker of the crime. So which one? Where are we
I
going?
found a story about the judge in the New York
Okay,
Times.
I've got the one on Mark Sanchez.
Okay.
Excellent. Look at that production.
All right. So it says fire consumes the home of a South Carolina state judge. And this is a big house on fire. Look at this.
$1.5 million house.
3 people were injured in the fire. Its cause is under investigation. Officials say so far they have no evidence to indicate the fire was intentionally set. Says the authorities in South Carolina said on Monday that they were investigating the fire that injured at least 3 people at the home of a state judge and her husband, a former state senator, at a resort island over the weekend. The home is owned by Diane Goldstein, a circuit court judge, and her husband, Arnold Goodstein. Not Goldstein, I'm sorry, Goodstein. According to Colleton County Assessor records, says the chief of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division said in a statement on Monday afternoon that investigators had so far found no evidence to indicate the fire was intentionally set. He urged elected officials and members of the public news media to exercise good judgment and not share information that has not been verified during the investigation.
So here's what's been verified, though. So Judge Goodstein ruled recently denying the Trump administration's access to South Carolina's voter rolls because is it the DOJ that wants this, or is I can't remember if it was a specific agency within the Trump administration. But anyway, they were seeking to get the
DOJ.
Yes, the voter rolls that would include deeply personal information that could, help easily identify people, including their driver's license number and the last 4 digits of their social. Judge Goodstein ruled against the administration, and apparently shortly after her ruling, Stephen Miller, SS Miller, took to social media and made a post. I don't think he named her specifically, but made a broad condemnation of so-called leftist judges. And there's a judicial insurrection and people must be dealt with, something along those lines. And then a mere days later, this lady's house blows up. My whitey sense is tingling. I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't think that's even something you can call a conspiracy theory, because that whole phrase comes from the CIA with, people saying, hey, that looks like the government probably did that. And the CIA is like, no, we didn't. That's a conspiracy theory. It's just like, no, just because you are keeping it a secret from us, it doesn't mean that it's a theory. So walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, looks like a duck. Guess what it is? I don't think it's a stretch to make the connection here that it's not just your whitey sense, it's who did it.
And here in another story, it says the 69-year-old judge had received death threats in the weeks leading up to the fire, multiple sources said, after Goodstein temporarily blocked the state's election commission from releasing its voter files to the Department of Justice, a decision that was openly criticized by the Assistant Attorney General and Civil Rights for Civil Rights, who said that that this was something that they needed, I guess. Yeah.
Why would they need that, by the way? I mean, I know they don't need it. I know they just want it. But what I don't even know what the grounds are for them to say that they need this information.
I mean, they have to send the Gestapo to the right houses.
Oh,
dang.
got it.
Goodness gracious. They don't want to actually accidentally send the Gestapo to their supporters' houses. This is why they had to make sure they gerrymandered certain places first. And now they need the records of the voters in the gerrymandered districts to make sure that their people aren't still included. And come on, they have to send the Gestapo to the right houses, y'all.
Here it says the Trump administration has sought to drastically reshape the election system in the name of election integrity by requesting and in some cases suing states for voter registration data to compile a comprehensive centralized database. The administration has sought data from more than 30 states and has considered pursuing criminal investigations into state election officials. So part of this is the idea. I mean, we look at the upcoming midterm elections in 2026. Again, with the military / National Guard being unleashed into different communities, the attempts again to beat back early voting in some areas. These are ways in which they're trying to secure victory in the upcoming midterm elections. And the question is how far they will go, i.e., will they be sending cops to your door? Will there be National Guard at the polling stations claiming to be securing the ballot as people are voting? Will they be able to knock out early voting, something that Africans in America have taken advantage of over the years as a way of expressing their so-called constitutional rights to vote, right? What will they do in order to secure the outcome the way that they want it? And how far will they go? I think that's a big issue coming up in terms of any attempt to understand American elections, because what Trump does not want is a Congress that even nominally, right, is if one House is controlled by the Democrats, well, the House is controlled by the Democrats, that eliminates his ability, most likely, to get through further legislation. And so instead of making these pronouncements through presidential orders and saying this is this, and that, which don't necessarily always come with the full force of a new law, but are mostly done through scare tactics and directing resources, if he can secure the ability to keep control of both the House and the Senate, then they can actually continue to try to pass laws around budgeting and other things. And so that is part of what I believe is what part of this is how do you continually make people believe, particularly the white folks who already believe it, that there's fraudulent voting, again, that he never did lose the last election. And then as you pour that out, how do you then take control of the so-called ballot boxes to make it feel like you are somehow protecting democracy for your constituents, as opposed to destroying what little bourgeois democracy is left?
Yep, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, this is because I think he realizes that he can't keep lying because the lies are becoming more and more thin. Like you can't keep going on television and saying, oh my God, Portland is being burned to the ground. It's a, he said it before, but now more and more people are like, there are dancing frogs. There are grown people in cartoon character costumes dancing provocatively at National Guard members in Portland. They're not burning anything to the ground. Everybody sees this. So now, he's realizing, okay, I can't just keep lying. What am I going to do? How am I going to keep people believing that all of this was stolen from me, that it's all, oh yeah, I've got to rig more stuff. That's what this is. That's all. I've got to silence more people, and especially since with the explosion of the judge's house, with the murder of Charlie Kirk, with the white guy who was just caught, who set the Palisades fire. White guy.
Oh yes,
white guy. And with Mark Sanchez, now we're gonna get to it. Now people are you can't keep saying the radical left is destroying America when everybody realizes it's all the white people who are in the right wing at some point. The guy who shot up the Mormon church, he went into that church. Yep, he went into that church and said, "Do you follow Jesus or do you follow Joseph Smith?" MAGA had a Trump flag outside of his house. So more and more Trump supporters are realizing, wait a minute, that's not the left, that's us. The lies are wearing very thin, so he's having to do more fascisty stuff in order to continue to justify the fascisty stuff that he wants to continue to do, because the lies aren't holding up anymore.
There's a 17-year-old in New Jersey who's been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. He ran over 2 of his female classmates on e-bikes. And guess whose content he used to consume on the regular basis? Charlie Kirk. Oh, and his dad is a retired cop and his uncle's the chief of police of the next town over. He wasn't immediately charged with murder. In fact, they're trying to debate on whether or not to charge him as an adult. He's 17.
Yep. Yeah. So now the Mark Sanchez story, and I did not know, I know nothing about this because I've been kind of unplugged lately.
Well, the story took a turn. It took a turn.
I didn't even know it's okay. So this is what happened. What had happened was Some time ago, here we go.
This past weekend.
I don't know why this thing won't go away, this little ad, but I'm trying and it won't. But anyway, this is being reported by Associated Press. The truck driver involved in this sues Mark Sanchez and Fox after a violent fight over a parking space.
How much?
Let's get to it. A 69-year-old truck. This man is 70 damn years old. First of all, he shouldn't still be having to work to drive a goddamn truck to make
that
a living
part.
at 70 years old. But this is America, and I'm sure he's proud of that. But anyway,
he's not. I don't think so. I think he's a brown man. He's not a white man.
Okay. 69-year-old truck driver who was seriously injured in a fight that prosecutors say was started by former NFL quarterback and sports analyst Mark Sanchez, is suing Sanchez and his employer, Fox Corporation, in Indiana State Court. Lawyers for Perry Toll filed the lawsuit this past Monday, seeking an unspecified amount in actual and punitive damages. So we're talking millions, as well as attorney's fees, lots of millions. The lawsuit accuses Sanchez of instigating a fight with Toll Saturday night outside a downtown Indianapolis hotel, leading to severe permanent disfigurement, loss of function, and other injuries and emotional distress. Toll also stabbed Sanchez several times in the fight, according to police. A picture of Toll circulating online shows him in a neck brace on a hospital bed covered in blood with a deep slash to the side of his face. In an email, Fox Sports declined to comment on the lawsuit. Attorneys representing Sanchez in his criminal case also declined to comment on the lawsuit. Attorneys representing Toll in the lawsuit, which requested a jury trial, did not immediately return calls seeking a comment. Sanchez is facing a felony battery charge, along with several misdemeanor charges for what prosecutors said Monday was a fight over parking. Yeah, so then this other article says that Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears announced the felony charge of battery involving serious bodily injury, which carries a potential sentence of 1 to 6 years in prison. During a news conference with Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department Chief Chris Bailey, Mears said the investigation is ongoing and that additional charges are possible. And this article was from the 6th. So so those are the charges against Sanchez now. The chief of police said we are literally talking about people fighting over a parking space and or a dispute about where people are parking, and it resulted in someone receiving just incredibly significant injuries. This is what the prosecutor said. Oh my God, if you don't go away. A police affidavit says the 38-year-old Sanchez, smelling of alcohol, accosted 69-year-old truck driver Toll, who backed into a hotel's loading docks in downtown Indianapolis doing his damn job, leading to a confrontation early Saturday, just this past Saturday, outside the vehicle. That prompted the driver to pull out a knife to defend himself.
This is after the 69-year-old pepper sprayed Sanchez initially, after Mark Sanchez charged him, physically attacked him, threw him up against a wall, allegedly. Mr. Toll took out pepper sprayed Sanchez, and as soon as Sanchez wiped his face off, he was trying to come back at Mr. Toll for more, and then Mr. Toll pulled out the poker and put Mark Sanchez in the fucking hospital. And I want to salute to the brown uncle for doing what needed to be done, okay? And I need women, femmes, elders, disabled people, get your weaponry together on your person, because some of these men out here are reckless, out of control, roided up drunks, okay, who will physically attack. They will make no distinction between elder, between woman, between child, between able to disabled. They don't fucking care, okay? Mark Sanchez, if I believe, is a MAGA, a MAGA Mexican. I don't know what his ethnicity is. I know he's American.
I actually don't oppose that phrase. It rolls off the tongue quite well, and I think that's a good description of him. And that's the way the MAGA folks, they were so convinced
convinced
that it was another attack. Look at this, another attack by the lunatic left.
No. They were blaming fatherless black children. Okay, they said the problem is we got these fatherless black children coming downtown Indianapolis and nobody watching them. Okay, well, actually, actually, and the level of delusion coming from the MAGAs, like, you know, prayers up for Mark Sanchez. He was wrong. No, Mark Sanchez got fucking dealt with in the way that he was supposed to get dealt with because he was on some bullshit. Okay, and let this elder, let his actions and his determination, his refusal to be further injured and harmed by this person, let that serve as inspiration to you. Get your knives, goddammit.
No, it was amazing. He had all that prepared. It was like, if something kicks off, I got the pepper spray, I got the knife, because most people talk about being prepared, but like when it comes down to it, people don't have that stuff at the ready. And Mark Sanchez was a football player, like a big dude. He ain't no small dude. Going after a 69-year-old person. So I agree. Shout out to those who know how to defend themselves when the moment comes, because that could imagine if he had no weaponry on him, he could have been killed.
That's what I was
literally killed. The only thing that probably stopped him was that Sanchez had to be slowed down because he got pepper sprayed and he got a couple of jabs in him. So
ask your average truck driver, long distance truck drivers, especially over 40. How do they protect themselves? Shit. They're the ones who will tell you that there is no truck driver out here who's a long distance truck driver. I don't care how old they are, who doesn't have a little help underneath that seat.
where AW at in the chat? AW, you in here? Don't tell us what you got, but we know you got it.
Right. But see, this is the kind of thing that listen, this is not there are so many different connections here. This is the problem with sports culture in the United States, because listen, steroids and alcohol, but that's only, you can only use that as an excuse for so much. Because if this man is driving a truck, backing the truck up to the loading dock where the truck is supposed to be backed up to do the thing that the truck is supposed to do, unload the things onto the loading dock, why Sanchez mad? Why was he even there? Why was that his business? Right? So this is the kind of attitude that this person had all the time. And just the fact that he's a dick in the first place. And I'm sure this is not the first dick move that he has ever done. He was doing this kind of shit while he was in the NFL, and a whole bunch of these players are like this, regardless of what their political affiliation is, because of the cover given to, we know this, we talk, so I'm sure that Mark Sanchez has done some other stuff just like this.
It's about to come out.
I'm waiting. And then, of course, there is the Mexican MAGA aspect of it. Like, you thought because this is y'all's time that you just gonna roll up on another brown person that you thought was beneath you and do what? And you thought they were just gonna let you do it?
So here, an article that says Trump praises Mark Sanchez as a nice guy. 3 days after ex-athlete's arrest, the president weighed in on the shocking criminal case against former NFL quarterback this week. And here's a picture of them together. So really quickly, it says Trump is weighing in on this shocking criminal case against former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez. Sanchez arrested for his role in a violent fight over the weekend. Doing his call-in appearance on Greg Kelly Reports on Monday, October 6th, Trump was asked about Sanchez, and Trump's response was, "That was too bad." Trump said of the incident, "He's a nice guy. I don't know what happened. Something bad happened. Something a little crazy happened. I can only report that he's a nice guy. I know him a little bit." The president added. Here again, another picture of them standing together in 2012.
Trump rolls with nothing but nice guys, convicted pedophiles. You know what I'm saying? Like, all he knows is nice guys, it would seem, right?
I just, and I mean, but this is also, we see the way folks in the MAGA universe have responded to all of their people causing all this chaos and death and home explosions and neck shootings and church shootings and church burnings, and this is all their people. And you see that they still don't have the same amount of condemnational smoke for their people. Actually, they're not asking their people, where are the MAGA fathers? We are better than this. Where has the family structure broken down in the MAGA movement that these are the outcomes? They're not saying that about their own people.
We are saying that. What is going on in the home, white people, white America? Please come to the front. You got some splaining to do, because you are raising monsters out here. You are unleashing them on the rest of us.
People we supposed to be trying to reason with, they don't think that anything their people do is bad enough for them to publicly condemn. All these people who are like, oh, Mark Sanchez, he was attacked. Oh, it was the blacks. It was the super predators. It was Tren de Agua. That they're not going to turn around now and go, nah, Mark Sanchez, he's getting what he deserves. I hope not one of them. They will become silent. They ain't gonna say nothing else. They're gonna act like he doesn't exist, that this didn't happen, and then they're gonna look for something else to blame black and brown folks on the next day.
Listen, it's going to be a free Mark Sanchez campaign. Watch what I tell you. This man, I'm sorry. How did you spell the victim's name? Was it spelled Tolle, Mr. Toll, or was it just Toll?
Tolle is what I saw in the article in AP. Yeah.
He appears to be a brown man, right? And I bet you MAGA is going to start investigating his immigration status. Well, was he even supposed to be here? Was he legally allowed to be here? Well, but I just see the smearing of this victim, this elder man who stood his ground, utilized self-defense, as he was absolutely entitled and legally able to do. They are going to smear this victim and try to raise up Mark Sanchez as the victim in this. So I bet you MAGA is going to do a whole free Mark Sanchez campaign, because they're delusional. You understand? Like, the facts of reality don't seem to apply. and I find it very strange, but it's also quite terrifying, to be honest, because it's like, how it's to our earlier point, how can you reason with people who don't accept facts, right? Who can't accept basic, understood, accepted things as reality? So build what? Coalesce with what?
Yeah, it's it's America. It's giving America. It's definitely giving America. But I know we're just about at the end. I did want to mention really quickly and God, I hate to say it, but the Palestinian resistance has accepted the first phase, the hostage negotiation, the hostage release phase of the Trump Netanyahu, whatever that thing is. Only the first phase. The rest of the agreement, the disarmament of Hamas and all that kind of stuff, that has not been agreed to. That will continue to be negotiated, and Hamas is not going for that part. So, but some hostages have been released. There have been some Palestinian hostages released from Israel, but of course not all of them. So we'll have to keep watching that as it unfolds. But I think there has been at least 24 hours where there has been no bombing in Gaza as a result of this. So people were out in the streets celebrating in Gaza at 3 a.m. When the agreement of this first phase of just the hostage release negotiation was done. And I hate to give this person credit for it, but I will say it in the context of, if it was this easy, Biden could have done it, right?
Oh, Biden could have been, yeah. This never had to go where it went. And instead of attacking Gaza, they're attacking the West Bank. So that's keep that part clear too. Like they're also putting more troops, more military, more settlers in the West Bank every day. And again, like you said, this isn't over, but yeah, this could have been over years ago at this particular stage, because one particular threat to stop sending U.S. military hardware and making the Israelis fight on their own without the backing of the U.S. And its full military, its full intelligence services, and the rest of it would have brought Israel to the table immediately to stop perpetuating the genocide. But the U.S. did not want that, does not want that. And they've accomplished a lot of their major goals in at least setting back the access of resistance. And the only reason this deal is reached is because of the Israeli attack on Qatar, where Trump has business interest. And that is the risk. Has nothing to do with humanitarian interest, has nothing to do with wanting to stop a genocide. Finally, something happened where the Israelis went a little too far, and maybe behind the scenes, some business interests might be getting upset. So we shall see. We shall see.
All right. Another great show for the people. Remix Morning Show once again being done. What else we got coming on? Coming up. Let's start with you, Kim. Okay. Jackie,
watch my show. Blah, blah, blah. No, watch my show Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Sorry, we got to a late start this past Tuesday, but you know, shout out to Lateef. Lateef came on and pushed buttons for me on Tuesday night show, so I appreciate the assist.
Nice
from my folks. So yes. But yep, 7 p.m. and then me and you coming up back in an hour.
Well, classical breakdown. Jackie, what you got coming up?
Still don't know. We'll see tomorrow. Darker Than Blue, Friday at 5 p.m.
You should just do a whole show just jumping out of the chat.
I wanted to thank you for that. Because Jimmy Snooker was the dude.
He was.
Oh, he was the dude. I loved him. Thank you for that.
All right, Kamal. We'll just see you next Tuesday, or you got anything going on this weekend?
You see me next Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. All right, I guess that's about it. And don't forget, donate Black Liberation Media. And we out of here, y'all. Shit, there ain't much more for me to say.
Nope.
Have a great day and come back tomorrow as we got a whole nother crew coming through. Take me through there. All right. And we out of here, y'all. Peace out.
Aish.
Remix. 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 Remix.